Hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to yet another exciting edition of Digital Adda. In these times when no business can exist if it is not digitalized and technology has a low shelf life, what are some skills that can help you impress potential employers and get hired? Talking talent acquisition. This then is the topic for which Nasscom FutureSkills Prime has invited a distinguished set of business leaders to share their thoughts. Let me quickly introduce our guests. A.R. Ramesh, Director, Digital Business Solutions and Professional Staffing, Adecco India. Ramesh is an industry veteran, having held senior leadership roles with Wipro and Cognizant in over 22 years of experience. In his current role as business head, he has the strategic responsibility of driving growth and strengthening the digital business solutions for IT, professional staffing across the IT and engineering segment, international outsourcing, and payroll outsourcing in the Indian market. Welcome, Ramesh.
Thank you.
We have Namitha Rajnikanth. She is the Managing Director of Third Eye Insights and Advisory, where she is using her 25 plus years of experience to strategize and help enterprise transition into the next phase of growth. She was earlier with Gartner, a postgraduate in computer applications and in management science. She's also an alumnus of Harvard Business School.
Thank you.
Jayan P. is the Senior Vice President and Head of Global Human Resource at IBS Software, a global leader providing IT solutions and services to the travel, transportation, and logistics industry. With 25 years of experience at IBS alone, his leadership and management skills have spanned different functions within the company that covers various aspects of business like sales, service delivery, and support. We have Uma Venkatraman with us. She is the CEO and co-founder of iXite Technologies Private Limited. An MBA from Jamnalal Bajaj Institute of Management Studies, Uma is one of the early women entrepreneurs in the technology product space. She co-founded iXite Technologies with a dream to create a product that would go global. Started in 2000, and over years of determination, endurance, and innovation, iXite today is one of the leading companies with proprietary IP. And our moderator for today is Smita Kumran, who joined Nasscom from Wipro and who is passionate about the project to make India the digital talent hub of the world. So I hand it over to you, Smita.
Thank you, Kamna, and welcome all the panelists. Thank you for joining us today in this hot topic, right? If there's something that's hot today, more than the weather in some parts of India, that's talent acquisition. An area which is full of contradictions, many aspirants, but very few joinees. Problem of plenty, making it very difficult to find the right candidate, right? The skill requirements that are ultra niche, you're not going to get that right skill. So you will have to find which is the near fit, what skills would have continued demand, how do you train somebody, how do you realize whether the person is trainable, right? And at the same time, the aspirants, let's say whether they are fresh out of college or looking for a change, they are equally perplexed. What are you looking for? So let me take an advance bail. Don't look for answers here. I don't think we are going to give you answers. Maybe our experts can at least give us trends and some directions. So that's what you should be looking for. And with that, let's hear from them. So Ramesh, opening remarks.
Yeah, thank you so much, Smita and Kamna, for the wonderful introduction and hosting this session. So I think it's going to be extremely useful for all the candidates who are looking for getting a new job or moving on to a different role. So I think the good news, while there is a lot of mayhem and a lot of chaos everywhere, but still the best news for all the candidates is it is a candidate-driven market today. And that's extremely good for the candidate. So if you're looking out for the job, this is probably the best time. So everything is positive. So be positive, start with that. So let me start with saying that being positive is going to be extremely important. And if you look at the kind of spike the market has seen post the pandemic in the last 2 years, there is so much of demand all across the globe, and especially for us in India, because we serve global customers, there is a problem of plenty. So that means that you really have a great window of opportunity. Yes, it is true that the skill mix is becoming very complex. People are no more looking for single skills. So even if you look at a basic core Java as a requirement, it is never only Java. It's usually Java full stack. And then there is an angle of UI, UX, Angular. There is some element of data in it. So big data technologies are also part of it. And you want everything within the same person. So that's the kind of demands that are coming up. Now, having said that, now you know that this is what the market is looking. So there are ways where Nasscom and the other industry leaders are helping candidates to upskill, reskill, multi-skill. So that's a great opportunity to cash in on. And there are also a lot of newer models which are emerging. So I will talk about more about the newer models, the skill mix, etc. But I just wanted to leave it at this, Smitha, saying that this is a great opportunity for people to look for newer prospects, and the market is flush.
Thank you, Ramesh. I think that's a good note to start with. Uma? Mute. You're on mute.
Thank you, Ramesh. Ramesh has said a lot of positive and optimistic things, and I'm also coming from that note. So I just will take these 2 minutes to say, somebody had sent me on WhatsApp about the stock market. You know, every time the stock market, now people are just applying for some shares, and every day your knowledge increases and your courage decreases. So that's what, and finally your knowledge is 100% and your courage is 0%. And you can't do much with that knowledge, right? So the initial thing was shock, and literally now as I participate, and I thank you for this opportunity, I've been part of the Prime Career Fair as well. And every time I participate and I meet others, it leaves behind, you know, that yes, we should do more. We should be able to overcome this crisis. I call it a crisis. I heard even Subroto Bagchi said it's there to stay, you deal with it. Now, the problem is there's an old generation in the company. See, I'm on the other side of 40, 45 and all our interviewers. So we are still, you know, we are thinking, you know, in our times, we never used to do this. We used to be loyal. We will not ask for salary. We will not do this. We will not do that, etc. And you have 4 rounds of interviews and we are quick to adapt. Okay. So not only is the issue about skill sets, which are complex, there is also, you know, it's very difficult to measure these skill sets. And you've asked this question because there are so many courses which are 4-day courses, 5-day courses. That is the second issue. The reach is high. There are many people offering jobs. You don't even have to physically go. So the passion of a candidate to want your job, even they don't have to struggle. They just have to sit at home and answer. And it is like, you know, they just can quickly shop around. So in all this environment, there is some maturity required on the part of the company who's interviewing to understand this new generation. At the same time, I think there's a certain level of it's coming easy on the tech side, which won't go away. It probably will go away after a year. That's what people tell. So if I can extend that 1 year to 2 years, there will be a natural balance. In all this, we will reinvent structures, models, and everything. But I think this is the core. And we have tried a few things. I don't think it'll end here. This is just a journey. And this is a good opportunity to share and come together and share. And I'll try to add my views in the later questions.
Thank you, Ma. Yeah, that's a major part because the both, I think people on both sides have to come to a consensus on what is reasonable, right? And that's a big part of this equation becoming balanced. So, Namitha, your view? Talking about balance.
No. Fantastic views both from Ramesh and Uma, and I think it definitely is the candidates market because the opportunities are galore. But what is also happening is also to find the balance that Uma was talking about, right? Is where does it really make it make the match, right? And so I think there are a lot of newer mediums that are coming into place, so that makes the marketplace more interesting, and also at the same time very demanding and challenging. So Smitha, the balance piece I think is going to be very critical to find. But having said that, I think there is a lot of gaps in the market to be addressed. And while I like the positive sentiment, I was reading one of the World Economic Forum reports, and it said that 50% of our personnel need to be reskilled within 2025, and it's just there, right? And we have to make sure that we meet that change. And the pandemic has accelerated that pace of change. So I think there's a lot to be done. There is a short time window to make sure, and I think we are in the right point of beginning. And I'm really looking forward to this entire conversation, because I'm going to go with a lot more insights from each one of you. So thank you very much for the opportunity, and I'm looking forward to this discussion.
Thank you, Namitha. Looking forward to you sharing. I mean, you're the neutral party here, so as an observer, right?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I'm just saving the best for the rest.
Sure, Jen. Now to tilt it back to the recruiters.
Yeah, back to the recruiters. So I think let's look at. I was just thinking, like, what has changed for the recruiters? I mean, if you look at last 20 years, it has always been a challenging area. And every time the industry felt that, okay, we have addressed the challenge, something new totally comes up. In the early days, it used to be a question of finding the right people that integrate with the company in the ecosystem that they operate. But all of a sudden, what has happened is that a lot of things have changed, which, as Uma, Ramesh and all said, that it kind of tilted the balance quite a bit. One was that the catchment area of hiring changed from the cities where we operate to anywhere in the world. I mean, today, where you are working is not relevant at all, because companies are ready to kind of bring in people from anywhere. The type of the talent that these companies wanted also changed in multiple ways. One of it is that in the past, it used to be people who will come and work in the way I want to work. But today, many companies have started to look at, like, okay, somebody can come in and challenge the status quo, because we already talked about the changes that is happening and all. We want more change agents in the organization to keep coming in. The third major change is that technology has also started changing very fast. In the past, like, a life cycle of a technology was 25 years, but today it's 6 months, 12 months and all. So companies need to look at, like, the person who is coming in, do they know the language that they want? Plus, can they unlearn and learn faster? Okay. Now, all of these changes kind of came in along with the major changes that was happening, the higher attrition, the larger dropouts and all other kind of things. But I think the good thing that has happened with all this is that recruiters have become more open to explore things in a different ways. Like, when unconstrained thinking started coming in, whether it is about places where the employees work, whether it is about the type of the contracts. Like, I mean, it used to be only permanent employees in the past, but many companies are now very open to look at people on contract models, the gig work model and all. So I think it's an interesting phase where things are changing quite fast. And as we already discussed, like, I mean, things are quite good for everybody who's involved in this exercise.
Yeah, thank you, Jen. That actually segues into the next question. You talked about the changes in the last 25 years. So maybe we should zoom into the last 2 years. What happened, right? Sudden, you're talking about great resignation and things changing and everything. So let's see what, Ramesh, you have any thoughts on what changed in the last 2 years, and probably, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Smitha, for that. But I think that was a wonderful segue, like you said, Jen, but you covered a lot of points of what has changed. But if I were to look at a little bit deep, how the pandemic affected hiring and recruitment in the last 2 years. See, a lot of technology has influenced the recruitment industry. That's how I would put it in a summary. And the reason why that has happened is because everything moved online and virtual. So of course, the IT specifications, the video calls, everything had to be enabled, and humans are very fast to adapt. So we saw that in a matter of no time, 2 months, I think everybody started working from home across the globe, not just in one particular country. And all the recruitment, which usually happened in the interviews face to face, which was either in the weekends, walk-in interviews, things like that, everything suddenly moved virtual. So I think that was enabled by technology big time. And I just wanted to zoom in a little bit of what in recruitment became virtual. Now, if you look at it, it's not just video interviews. Even onboarding was remote. Digital, your ID cards were no more physical ID cards. They were digital ID cards. So the whole onboarding process, uploading the documents, even the background verification, there was a pre-BGV check. But of course, it came with a lot of challenges. We found a lot of fake candidates. We saw there were a lot of issues, which was expected. But then we matured during the journey. So what happened was we started recording video calls. We started having their Aadhaar cards to track if there's the same person was coming on video. And interestingly, we also saw that there were a lot of technology-enabled solutions in the market based on AI, which could also help do this. So I'll give you a few examples on where AI helped. One is, even from a video interview stage, there are softwares which can detect if the lip sync is happening. So if people are actually talking in the background, someone else, this person is just lip syncing. So that was a superb tool which was being used during this kind of pandemic. In fact, the tools even went further, where if someone got nervous during an interview, it is like the other, it's a virtual assistant, some kind of generic skills. You can have the first level of interviews being done by an assistant like your Siri or whatever, a bot doing that interview. So they're calming the candidate down, saying, don't worry, if you want to take a break, you want to drink some water, please go do it, using face recognition in AI, etc. So a lot of new things happened. And a lot of self-help happened. So people earlier on BGV, you had to take the document, someone had to physically verify, someone had to sign. So that became completely digital. The supply chain process completely changed. So people could self-register, people could onboard the documents into the right folder. And then there was a parsing which automated a lot of checking. And then, of course, there is a 15 days proper BGV check that would happen through agencies, which still continues even today. And it became more important during the pandemic because we were finding a lot of fake candidates. I think on the AI tools, I also thought it is not just for the recruiters and the people who are taking the interviews. Even for the end customers, they were, even before the interview stage, every stage, for example, screening of a resume, the text parsing, the text analytics became extremely critical. So there was a use of AI. So is it become mainstream? Is it caught on? It was a great start. I think a lot of places we see customers using AI tools, especially for shortlisting the candidate first level. But I think there's a long way to go. I think during the discussion somewhere we need to talk, because there's no skill standardization and every job description is very customized. So is AI going to replace recruitment? No. 100% I can tell you no. But do we need to at least become better and take away the manual interventions to the extent possible and use that man hours in a more productive way of probably trying to source better candidates through discussions because the customization part is very important. So there's a lot of thought we can put around that. So that's my 2-3 minute summary, Smitha, about what happened in the last 2 years.
Thank you. Thank you. Uma, anything from your side? What have you seen change?
Yeah. So thanks, Ramesh. I didn't know that psychometric tools of this nature were there. I know for fraud and those kind of things, we use video detection. I would like to speak to you later. Okay, so first thing, what happened to us? So you see, if we talk of acquisition, it is not without retention. Because we are a much smaller company, we don't require large numbers. So we are always comfortable with once a year. So here, if you're running on a treadmill, how it is, the treadmill is running, you have to keep running. So I can't just recruit. I just have to take care, it's like, you never know whether you're doing the right thing. What you're offering today will not be the same thing you offer tomorrow. And there is no, since the balance is still today not there, it's not that Nasscom can offer a standard structure. I hope it will come soon. And within the industry itself, everyone is looking at the same candidate. So if I increase that, I have to increase internal. If I increase internal, I have to increase external. So that was a real headache. So all the time, we don't have those resources to keep track of what is industry, salaries for our size, other size, it stopped mattering. So that's one. So constantly providing, evaluations, multiple times, doing the incremental increase in salaries for internal, external. I've created a small abbreviation, which is very easy, FINACR. So frequency of recruitment, F. So that was very high. Interaction quality. Somebody, I think we spoke about quality of interview. Now it's not like you have to be very careful if you ask a question like, so we expect you to do this or we expect you to do this. See, the candidates are at home. If they are in the city, they are desperate for a job, they have to pay rent. Now I find that many people are happy to not accept the job. They are sitting in their hometown village. They can go on shopping. They probably have their parents' money, Indian, of course, people can stay that way. So they're not desperate to accept and move on. When there is lack of that, they're keeping on shopping around, and that no matter what psychometric I do, I think the only way out of that is either they grow up, or if they come from such a place where they realize that this is not okay, but that's too hard to expect right now. So we tend to normally see if it's a senior, whether they have stayed long enough in some jobs. But if it's a fresher, it's very hard, so they don't have any desperation. So desperation has to be mutual for something to close quickly. The third is the kind of level of people. We don't have 3 levels. So you'll have to have right from senior person to junior person, because by the time you fix the next interview, that person may go. So you try to give on-spot offer. The structure also will have to be determined at that time. It may change. It's not fixed and you take it. So after that call, we have to sit discussing what structure, will this fit, will that fit, etc. Then the number, so the number of times you interview is just one. The levels are everybody. The interaction has to be kind of friendly, that kind of thing. And as far as the technology, I think if we touch that again, these are the changes. The onboarding itself changes, the way onboarding. If they are freshers, they all like to feel the excitement and share it on social media. So you make sure you give them enough opportunities for these things. So these are all feel-good factors. So you have to keep in mind the entire process right through, and the notice period of theirs has to be short. Only then you can go for. If you give to anybody who is 3 months notice period, it is unlikely that he will join you. You have to make sure if you're recruiting in February, he's probably evaluating it with the increment they are getting, etc., etc. So from the the way in which we have tried to reorient ourselves, we have tried to put certain of these things in our procedures. On the AI, I think we'll come again, or you want me to address that, Smitha, now?
Yeah, you can just
just 2 lines. I feel that AI would be, if you can see a resume and you can predict whether the person is going to join or not, or on the interview quality. Already he's talked about face movement and answers, etc. I know this is there in loan applications, etc. So AI has not reached that, though we normally check the resume and look for hints there. Look for family background, look for how the person speaks. Many times, they're not even properly dressed when they come for the interview, because they think, you are the person who needs me, not me. And then I get the message. Some of the colleagues will say, no, you should not worry about such things. but it does make an impact. So these are the things. Technology, we have used hackathon and other kinds of proctored online technical tests, and we of course can choose the questions, and we use that. So that's a clear use of technology, and it's been very useful. Virtual booths through Prime Career Fair and other things, I think it's not AI, but it's technology. You can actually simulate the entire booth and the actual experience of not being in office. So that's also technology. I think Zoom, Teams, all this has also evolved tremendously. And the last is, you have more opportunities for looking for people. It's not restricted to, usually it used to be Naukri. Now, of course, you have LinkedIn, it's your own site. You have so many websites, so many opportunities, all of it, right? So there's a lot of technology there. Even now training, we are trying to automate. Now that's the next big task. Yeah, and there are so many curated programs. So technology, even to implement that, it takes effort, but we will get there. So.
Thanks, Uma. Lot of truth bombs.
Yeah.
I think people are listening. Jen, anything to add on the tech front?
No, I think Ramesh and Uma has covered pretty much everything. I think just another angle which probably would be useful for the audience is that I think what is missing through all this is that personal connect that we would have, and the assessment that we could have made when we were together in the office when we were assessing people. So from a company side, because this was another opportunity for us to create an impression among the candidates also from a company perspective, that okay, you can show the workspace, you can give a feel of the culture, all of those kind of things. I think companies need to focus on that part, like all these digital interactions. Apart from what technology offers, we need to make sure that our interviewers, our HR folks and all kind of interact in a way that can create that positive impression. But from a candidate perspective also, you have heard how some of the ways in which shortlisting has changed, like for example, AI scanning or those kind of things. So candidates need to know how to put their maybe profiles different to get shortlisted. And another thing is that it's about creating an impression. Like you don't have a personal touch to create an impression, so that 20, 30, 40 or 60 minutes in the video makes a difference. So you need to be very careful when you are attending that discussion and all. So these are some of the angles which will evolve, and these are some of the things that both the companies and candidates need to understand and then prepare themselves better on both sides.
Thank you, Jen. In fact, as I was preparing for this and to ask what kind of questions, I chanced upon a startup, which is like a Tinder-like startup where you right swipe, left swipe, right? On the tool is going to match your prospective employer for you. So yeah, I hope we retain the human touch somewhere. So the next question, or the question of this period. What are the skills that you're recruiting for beyond tech skills? Tech skills, of course, we want to hear. And on top of it, what else are you looking for? What other skills? Do we start with you, Namitha?
Yeah. So, of course, tech skills also became a little prominent in the sense of, technology use, how to really maximize on conversation time in these Zooms and other kind of meetings, right? It also kind of has put in some kind of a design challenges also to kind of adapt this entire technology to this virtual environment. And, those kind of, from a technology perspective, I think they were on the top skills. What also happened is in terms of, certain soft skills like critical thinking, in order to make a judgment call, in terms of analytical skills, top of the chart was analytical skills, to be able to look at data and be able to make that kind of a, decision. But I think what came out very prominent is what is now being termed as agency mindset, which is an inherent leadership skill to be able to make initiative, take an initiative or a structure, because what happened was that entire people got very distributed. And so it becomes very important to take ownership. So I think the agency mindset came in as very, very prominent. not to be confused with the other leadership skill where decision making is important, but it is more linked to the initiative piece of the business. And then there is complex problem solving skills, people skills in terms of being able to integrate and work as a coherent team, because now I think with the hybrid workplace, a lot more nuances and sensitivities came to the fore. So that people skills became, team management and people skills become equally important. Those are on top of my head right now.
Sure. Ramesh, Uma, Jen, open to you for tech skills that we are looking for.
Okay, I'll just have only 2 lines. See, there are 2 levels. One who's now there are freshers out of college, and there are very seniors, and there are mid-levels. So when there are freshers, basically they have a curriculum which we know from the colleges and something more than that. So thinking, as already Namitha said, that's very important. We are a product company. We are a logical, our products are all based on logical thinking. So first is logical thinking is required. So very simple questions and simple problems, but they require some steps. So are they able to think? The second is if you're able to think, but then you say that you will train them on technology later, right? But at least what they have learned in their curriculum, they should know. That's the minimal basic expectation. Whatever they are saying, they have learned at least something basic in that. If they can demonstrate, even if not 100%. In fact, degree, the marks earlier, etc., we used to see for cutoff, etc. But since now we need to recruit from the larger pool so that we get some people, we have stopped even seeing marks. We normally ask them some simple hands-on solution where they can, write a pseudo code or code. If nothing else works, steps. We don't give time limits as well. It's open book, open hours. It's always been like that. And even now it's like that. When we ran the proctored hackathon also, it ran for 5-6 hours. There was no time limit, only thing it was proctored. So you're free, but at least this much you should be, because for us, it's very difficult, unlike a very large company, to do a 6 months training and then get them to perform, and after that they will do. So this is a basic expectation. See, everything else in technology, things change today, it's not tomorrow, but if your thinking is right, anything you can adapt. I think you'll come to the technology. The core technologies are not changed. I think Ramesh spoke in the beginning. It's the added technologies, the surround, the complementary that has changed. Java, C#, .NET, C++ has not gone off. You do need to do that. It doesn't mean you do a Python 1-week course and it is some great technology, because those are all easier technologies. Knowing that is only an addition to solve some problem, but these are the fundamental things on which most things in the world are created or done. So GUI skills, state-of-the-art analytical platforms are additions. You need this foundation, right? So this is what we look for.
Thank you, Ma. Jen?
I don't know whether there's anything more to add. Namitha and Uma has covered everything. But probably one thing which we are starting to look at is that about the proactiveness or the ability to be self-motivated. Because unlike in the past where people were together, the environment used to play a role in kind of making people productive and making people work well. But in a remote world, which may not change very significantly even in the near future, we are starting to look at to see whether how self-motivated that person is, and how will he work remote. That kind of a team adaptability by working remote. But have we kind of matured in how to measure that? The answer is definitely no. But that is something that we try to look at when we look at candidates. But otherwise, like tech, non-tech, all other parts have been covered by Uma and
You just answered the question Kirti asked also, our CEO. She's asking, how do you measure self-motivation?
That's my question also.
So I just wanted to add a small point of view. So I think, we spoke about multi-skills, people having peripheral skills. So see, one thing what's happening in the market is, the landscape of the technology is changing so fast. So every 6 months or every 4 months, something new comes up, and obsolete, the old one becomes obsolete. So what that means, it is not possible for everybody to be an experienced person in that new technology, obviously not. So one of the key skills that today interviewers are looking for, and this is an advice I would give to everybody, is your learnability, your hunger to learn, your passion to go along with the change, and the speed at which you would want to adapt. So these become extremely important. So there are multiple ways of doing it. So one way of demonstrating that for candidates is having certificates saying that I've done all these courses. That is one way of doing it. Taking courses, being part of those courses, showing that you've done these classroom courses or certain, just not certification, but ensuring that you've done some POC or project and you've contributed in that. That can be another way in your resume when you apply for a job. So that those are different ways. And we were speaking about people who just come out of college and little experienced people. So for people out of college today, if you look at it, I think there are multiple training sessions which are being enabled. So I think Nasscom can also help in that. Companies do that. There are different companies which only concentrate on that. So just learning solutions, and they concentrate on a lot of freshers. And we at Adecco have actually partnered with a couple of them to see how we can help our customers. So that's something which is happening. And there we take the hot skills where the demand is. We try to forecast with the customer, and then we do tailored programs also as required to ensure that people are ready. So learnability is extremely important. Multi-skilling is very important. And the last one at a leadership level, which is also very important, is I think today at a leadership level, people look at different kinds of experiences. So it's not just about what you have done in your past. So what has been the variety of experiences you've gone through. So what I would urge and also advise candidates as you grow up and get experienced is try to take roles which are not stereotyped. Try to take different roles, try to work across functions, across business units, across industries. Because anyway, you're changing jobs. You might as well try to look at options outside and get a multitude of experience. And I think that goes a long way when you look for opportunities.
Thank you. Thank you. One quick poll around the panel about new employment models. Are you, we keep hearing, as third party, we keep hearing that people are asking for hybrid work, complete work from home, all remote, gig. So how are you all seeing it? Is there merit? Are you taking such people? Namitha, we'll start from you to set the set the stage.
Yeah. So the very basis, and initially when we were reconnecting to Ramesh, I was saying the very basis of our company is actually looking at those models, and we are losing the shackles of the system and trying to get in experiment with newer models. So the simple answer is yes. All of these forms exist. And a lot of people, now are very amenable to work with a project basis, very outcome based, and result and metric oriented. It becomes, and also there's a big challenge there, because it's a newer setup. So, a lot of organizations are struggling in terms of, really adapting it in mass scale. See, a smaller company is able to do this fresh, but in the mass scale, it becomes a little bit of a, challenging. So what the impact that is happening is in terms of, having clearer job descriptions, in terms of having clearer metrics for performance. So that's kind of evolving in that, area. So it is giving space, and I think we saw a very nascent form of it in the crowdsourcing when people were actually taking jobs in a unit basis, right? But today I think there are openness with the employers because they don't want to really keep the employee also stagnated, so he can actually experiment with some of his interest areas. So therefore you will see people taking up more than one kind of job. And I'm seeing a lot of interesting examples where people are taking like very, very different skill sets of themselves and working for two different companies, without the conflict of interest. And I know, of course, ethically, you have to clarify the no conflict piece, but I know people who are actually working for two drastically different companies, and a part of that, a part of themselves pursuing a passion like designing a motorcycle, and in the other other job role, they are actually working in the shop floor. But some kind of an extension, and sometimes it could be also drastically different. Are we experimenting with those models? Yes, definitely, yes. And we do have within our company a lot of these models where we have a lot of freelancing talent with us as well. And that's actually the beauty of the whole network. We are able to leverage talent in that manner.
That's at the consulting space or at a senior level, Namitha. So let's hear. Are you all okay?
I'm also talking about at the entry level. People that are coming out of the colleges. At their even at the +2 level, they are actually already entrepreneurs. Okay. And ideating newer economies. So it's not just at the experience level; it's happening at the student level.
Nice. Are you all willing to?
Some of the students are working for us. So
yeah. I just wanted to add to what Namitha said. I think there was an inquiry yesterday of a student who is studying the 3rd year in college. She, during her vacations, have done in multiple companies. And she reached out to us saying that, okay, I've tried a services company, I've tried this company, I want to try a product company. Do you have internship opportunity? So I think there are few such real things where students are thinking proactively on that and trying to get that kind of experience.
Are you ready to take gig workers? I mean, the way Namitha was saying, if you have clear job descriptions,
we are trying that. I think we have not been very successful because I think Namitha also mentioned about scale. I think we see some good few people, but where to look out, which is a platform like where we can go and look out, I don't think we have found the right place. And even the hit ratio of how we are able to utilize as well as how they work effectively, it's still not in a rate which is to a satisfactory level. But we are open to learn. I think it will need that segment need to mature a little bit more in India thing, but definitely that's a direction that we look forward to and we would experiment quite a lot.
So see, like he said, we have to mature. Both sides have to mature will be my answer always. We have to be accepting as people who are now willing to put our infrastructure on the cloud. We're willing to work with gig workers, etc. First of all, we are a product company. Again, it takes a lot of team spirit, teamwork. The secret sauce to success, a lot of that is this team spirit, cohesiveness, and working. Already you're spread out, and you can use gig workers only if you have one-off things, prototypes, or something that requires them to work alone. Lot of the design creative world works like that, or architects and things like that. Now in technology industry where one is part of a team and you're not really telling him you just create something, he or she, and sit down at your time and create, you can't do that, right? It also involves clients, it involves people. So it's difficult, though we have had 3rd year. In fact, this year when we looked for people and we went to the colleges, a lot of 3rd year students applied. There's a increasing need for the 3rd year student to feel he's already working and getting some money and learning. There's also a query there whether somebody had written, are these skills more important than degrees? So steadiness of purpose is a very important thing when you recruit anybody. Steadiness is seen by the way they approach their studies, their marks, their clarity of purpose, clarity of thought. You don't want somebody who's learning some course on Udemy and Coursera and he doesn't know anything. The Rolling Stone gathers no moss. So it's like that, just for the interview's sake, he'll say anything, he or she, but they may not really. You have to have some steadfastness of purpose. So that was an answer to that question there. In the meantime, yes, third year students we have given, hopefully thinking that, if they like a company, they will come on board in the fourth year. That's the purpose. So it's not a true gig. In the past, we have done internships 6 months, but that doesn't work very well. They go and join someone else. So total freelancing, no. But for some peripheral services like, DevOps or, certain specific GUI-based things, etc., there we can examine outsourced companies, maybe not freelancers, so that there is continuity and there is some level of control we have on the quality and support that we need. That's what I can think of.
Yeah, I think to achieve that balance, both the skills and technology, right? It has to come together. And I think it's going to be the one that will blend it. So, a lot of focus on the, human quotient and in terms of the, emotional talents, in terms of the, other skill sets, right? And integrating that with accessibility from a technology perspective.
Correct. Jayan and you both said that. And India, we need a lot of discipline. See, this kind of flexible and remote has been there in many parts of the world. Now, the minute we are at home, that if we have that discipline and we realize that we have to be at our desk, I think half the problem is solved.
Yeah. And I think
I just wanted to. Thank you, Namitha. So I just wanted to go back to that question once again. So the question was, are new models emerging, etc. So I think we concentrated on one part, but I'll also give a point of view on that. I actually don't agree completely with you, Uma. The reason is because while the IT industry has grown sub 10% last year, the contract staffing in the IT industry has grown by 18% last year and is expected to grow at 17% year on year this year. So this is by Gartner. So the gig working and the contract staffing is going big year on year. And I can see that because I had contract staffing also as part of my business. I've seen that there's a huge spike. So people are open. So a couple of views, and then I'll also give what other new models are emerging. And so if you look at what's happening in the market from a candidate perspective, see, people today no more have that social stigma that working as a contractor is bad. So it's becoming more westernized. People are open to embrace. In fact, people feel that I have the job I like. I can do it for the period of time the project is, and then my commitment is I can move to something else if that's not what I enjoy. So I think from a mindset perspective, this is becoming more open, if I may. So that's one thing which we've been seeing from a contract staffing perspective. So that's one new model contract gig. It's grown big. I'm talking with facts and figures. The second thing which I just also wanted to tell you is there have been very interesting models which have come out during the pandemic. One is, if you look at, we call it staffing on demand. It can be also called as cloud staffing. So there have been models where people are, see, there is a minimum slab, at least for the customer. We did this model. We said 40 hours of work in a month is the minimum pay you have to give us. And we also negotiated with the candidate that, but then they used to be paid only for the hours worked. So there was no mandate that you have to work for 160 hours. So it's more like cloud-based staffing. That's something which even today, after I wouldn't call this as completely post-pandemic, but even when things are stabilizing, we see interest on this. In fact, now we are working on a deal which is quite big where the customer wants the same model. So that's something that's happening in the market. The second thing is I term it as N-1 skills. So this is like, see, HTD, hire, train, deploy has been there for quite some time in the market. So there's always been this hiring for the next skills by training the people. First hire a lower skill person, train, and then you then deploy. Now, what's also happening is, with all this DevOps and agile methodology, and also the fact that people are willing to have different experience people a shadow the senior members. So people are have even been willing to invest on N-1 skills. For example, if you looked at if you want an Angular 7, so I don't mind hiring an Angular 4 profile, but then I use that person as a shadow person in the project, not as in the mainstay. That's the investment which I make because I'm not getting the higher skill person in the market. But that person is ready for the project within 2-3 months with that skill, because it's actually not so difficult. The nuances are a little different, but it's not that you cannot learn it. And on-the-job learning is very important. So we've seen customers hiring, and I'm talking about large logos. I don't want to give out the logos. We're talking about large conglomerates doing all these models. So that's something we've seen. We've seen that there's quite a bit of aggregators play, which is like your Ubers. So there's a marketplace that is coming in. So people, while one way of looking at it is a MSP model, which used to be there, but this is not a master services provider program. So this is more of a aggregator where you got a set of people who are looking for jobs, and there's a marketplace just like your Amazon, where there is a set of customers who are empaneled with that aggregator where they put the job postings, and it is moderated. Not everybody can see everything. So unless you sign up for certain subscriptions, etc., you don't get to see everything. That's another very interesting model that's emerging. So there's a lot of coherence, a lot of innovative thinking that's come out in the market in the last 2 years. As I told you, humans are extremely innovative. Put in a tough situation, I think they come out with drastic thoughts. So I think last 2 years has really unleashed the potential within the industries might take, Smitha. But Uma and Namitha and Jain, I think you had great points. So I completely agree to that. But the only thing which I had a difference was the gig and contract staffing economy is just...
Ramesh, we'll touch base.
1 second, Uma. We have just 5 minutes.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure we will continue this discussion. Definitely, we have plans of how to keep all of you exchange ideas. So I picked up one point from what some of you mentioned. One is skills, and the AI tool is finding it difficult to scan through it because it's not standardized. What I call data scientist, what you call is different, right? So is that something, what would you want Nasscom to do? So that's a question even Kirti has asked here. So what do you think? Are we ready to go beyond degrees and hire people based on just skill? I take your point, Uma, on having purpose and staying on purpose, but let's say there is another way in which you know that the person...
So somebody has to bring in that balance, right? So when all this imbalance is happening, so Nasscom being an impartial and a person who's is an association for the industry, by the industry, can only do good, right? Already the Prime Career Fair was fantastic. There are other kinds of things we'll constantly do, mentoring, few courses, and so on. As far as so one is skilling India, digital skilling is already there. So when we start
more of skill standardization.
So job competency. So my own point is, if you can, I think that question is there. Job competencies, if you can put a standardized description, if you can enable standardized, what is the remuneration, what is the package should be there. If you can just create some benchmarks, if you can offer some kind of structure. And of course, my other favorite pet theme is, if you already have a database, and I've had discussions with that team, if it is possible to actually maintain, you don't need to comment, you don't need to judge, nothing, just maintain people who are, what job they have got, what offer they have got, what they have moved. I think that's good enough. That will help a great deal in bringing about some kind of sanity. That's it. So the skill side is being taken care of. The even in recruitment, there is some kind of effort going on. What one doesn't have is direction. So if the entire industry at least has some basic baselining, then we are all competing in a healthy way. Otherwise, it's like we are all, and there is someone for guidance, right? Otherwise, it becomes difficult, and we look up to Nasscom to provide that kind of, basic standards for these things. Even the offer structure, the policies for gig contracts. Supposing you have a template for housewife, women who are working, coming back to work, is there a template? It will help us. Otherwise, we are all reinventing, and one is trying to do it better than the other. So even there, we are fighting. But this kind of intelligence and standards would really help.
I completely agree with Uma on this, Smitha. But if I were to just zoom in on what Uma said, I think we need a skill catalog. That's where I think Nasscom can really help. So I think today, see what's happening. So there is one core skills and there are a set of peripheral skills around. So there is no skill family that's today defined. If you look at individual skills, you're talking of 6,000, 7,000 individual skills. So we don't want that. So if we can create a family of skills, have a standard skill catalog, and then have a sub-tree structure, and this is standard across India, and then we can take it to the globe if possible, because that's also a possibility. I think that's something which, see, that way if you do it, the search by an AI tool is also very, very real.
Some Second 10-digit code or a barcode, something like
correct.
that.
Correct.
Which each column standing for one for skills, one for years of experience, one for something.
Super. Okay, Jen, Namitha.
No,
You've gone into implementation, Uma.
I think a broad guideline is already existing. In the way that Ramesh mentioned in terms of skill sets and the tree of skill set, right? They are already grouped. There's an interesting report by World Economic Forum on this, and it covers India as a country. It's got a country level focus as well. So I think that can be used as a baseline. But having said that, I think the imperative is to hire on skills. Because it kind of addresses a lot of challenges that got thrown in the last 2 years. With the pandemic coming, and again the workforce getting distributed. It also kind of speaks to the diversity and the inclusiveness hiring, right? So it becomes extremely important to look at that skill set that diverse group of people will bring in, the companies have to really become more conscious and culturally receptive to the skill sets that these diverse groups will bring in. And I think one of the underrepresented, and I can't remember now who, but somebody mentioned it already, is from the talent pool that is there in the tier 2 cities, and the talent pool that is there in the rural areas, and which now with the hybrid work model can be accessible. And I'm working with the NGO Mitras, and I see in a small place there is such great talent, in terms of customer service, in terms of, really reorienting, people. Of course, it brings in some amount of social issues also, because there is a family that doesn't want the, person to go out and really work. And so you have to really do a lot of counseling and a lot of addressing around it. But, definitely, I think it's a skill-based hiring is coming to the fore.
Thank you. We have just 1 minute. Jan, a quick wrap up.
I think even on this topic, I think why are we hiring for degrees is because it's more predictable, it's more safe. That's all. I think as the model evolve in terms of having a more kind of skill set being available, and there is predictability of the outputs of those people, everybody will follow track on that. So I think the problem is that we are all waiting for something to evolve, and we are all doing some smaller steps. Maybe if Nasscom can do something that will force us or make us do a little bit more on that area, look for more opportunities, and do that, could accelerate the whole of this one.
Thank you so much. We've taken 2 more minutes, but I hope this kind of gave people a view into what is running in your minds, right, when they are applying for, and some great tips. Kamna, do we wrap up?
Yes, thank you so much, everyone, for joining in the panel discussion today. And as you guys touched a very topic close to my heart and to the whole of Nasscom, which is on challenges of job description and standardization of skills. And Nasscom has already done some work in this regard. In fact, there's a lot of work that has been done, which is the topic of our next digital Adda, which is competency standards, which is going to happen in June. So do stay tuned in for that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you.